You are now in tune on the One, the Force itself at this time. Thanks for tuning back in. Previously, we were discussing how all of the angels that you find within inside of the Abrahamic faiths in the Abrahamic schools of thought, you will find these same angels in most of the cultures all around the world. Previously, we discussed how all of the different deities and gods and goddesses around the world and through world culture, you will find that all of the different deities are associated with a planetary or a planet or a celestial body. Seen Mars, Jupiter, Venus, Mercury. So you have a lot of different Mercury goddesses and gods. You have a lot of different Venus gods, goddesses. You have a lot of different Neptune and Jupiter and all of these different deities that represent these planetary forces or these celestial bodies, which they call planets. Now, these planets are the common denominator within these cultures. Jehudi is also a Mercury god, and you'll find this Mercurian god as well in all of the cultures. Jehudi is Jah, but we're going to get into that a little later. But I'm here to show you universalness as well. And like I stated previously in another discourse, how through enslavement and through colonization, a lot of our awareness to our indigenous way of living has been lost. I explained how in voodoo and Santeria and other different what they call occult practices within the Caribbean and here in the United States, during the time of colonization and enslavement, people who practice their indigenous ways had to hide the fact that they still practice their culture. So what the high priest did, they would convert their spiritual system and convert their deities to the Catholic angels and the Catholic saints. So a lot of people had no choice but to go underground with their culture, because there was a time period that you would get killed for being one who was still dealing with their indigenous practices. So they had to hide a lot of things. So at that time, people who practiced or who had a Ifa or Yoruba spiritual system, they would take their Orishas or Loas and convert them over to the Catholic saints and angels and things of that nature. Now, as I stated before, that, all of these different deities have some type of planetary connection to them. Or you will see that a lot of these deities are governed by a particular planet. So even in, Yoruba and Ifa, you will see that there's even a planetary connection between the Orishas and Loas and things of this nature. So you will find this in every culture, you know. So, a lot of that knowledge has been lost on how our ancient cosmology got converted into Catholic, or converted and mixed up with Catholicism. And from this conversion, this is where you get your modern day voodoo and hoodoo and certain things like that. It's a mixture of the indigenous cosmology mixed with the Catholic saints and angels. So that's how that came to be. And, you know, the power still comes from the faith that the people have. And this faith amplifies your magic, your faith in yourself, the faith in, you know, not having any doubt in what you do amplifies what you do, you know. Anyway, so I say that, you know, like I stated before, yes, this is the Ethiopian version of Michael. But say one had a European version of this same angel, and they choose to use that candle for their practice. Who am I to say that that's not going to work? Seeing is deeper than just a picture on a candle, don't you think? So, anyone can call on these particular angelic forces. Raphael, Raphael, Michael, and all of the whole angelic host, if you want to. You dig what I'm saying? So I say this to say that don't get confused in the dogma and the fuckery. We are living in new times, and if there is new days, then there are new times, as Bob Marley said. And a lot of what was hidden is coming back to us, and it's being unlocked in our DNA. People are questioning. People have a lot of questions at this time. Though I try to find all the answers to all the questions they ask, I know it's impossible to go living through the past. But the past is still in our DNA. But we must live in our now. Now, I said all that about, you know, voodoo and Santeria and these things because people call this magic. And as a magi, if one was to tap into their inner magic, they will see that all of these deities dwell within, and they come from within as well, you know, and your perception is what makes them appear in the way that they do. You already know. So, if one was walking down the street with a staff and they threw the staff on the ground and that staff would turn into a serpent, people will call this guy some type of crazy voodoo or Obeah man. He would be some type of wicked witchcraft practitioner and all of this extra stuff. But as we know, witch means wise. And the three magi who came to visit Yahushua, they were magi. And they were ones who charted the stars. And by charting the stars, they were able to find Emmanuel. Seen? So, we have lost connection to that cosmic awareness. And through enslavement and colonization, things have been mixed with religious dogma. But the power still dwells within the people, even without knowing the historical facts of how these things came along. See? So, for those who are more left-brained with their thinking, more left-brained people try to figure out logically how things work. And for people who are more right-brained, they don't really need logic or too much explanation. They just believe, and that faith that they have is what amplifies their magic as well. Now, I say this to say that Rastafari is also a system that can be utilized to tap into the same angelic forces that we're talking about. Whether whatever culture you come from, these forces are still, the same. So that clears up a whole bunch of argument and brings more clarity to those who might not see the connection between these different spiritual systems. Seen, because a master can tell you what Orisha Michael converts into. So in one sense, if at a time period we had to take and go underground and convert our gods and goddesses into the Catholic ones, what about the Ethiopian ones? Because the Catholics took and stole from the Ethiopian cosmology, and they converted Ethiopian angels and saints into Catholic ones. So in a sense, the Catholics converted in indigenous cosmology and just changed the race and turned them from, Kushite, or turned them from Kushite to European, but at the same time, they still connected and converted the cosmology based upon the science. So indigenous people took and converted their indigenous cosmology into the Catholic ones. And if the Catholic ones were converted from the original, then they're all connected. And a lot of people probably like, what the hell is this guy saying? Take the time to do some research. Reflect on what I said. I don't expect everyone to digest this, and I do think a lot of people are probably going to disagree with what I'm saying, and I'm not expecting this message to be embraced by the masses, because the enlightened ones are never really embraced by the masses until later. Anyway, people normally catch on light years late, but at least people are catching on, and that's a good thing. And we're in this so-called age of Aquarius, so this is a time for these things to be revealed. What was concealed is now being revealed. We got our hand over our heart, because our heart is light as a feather. You already know.